Get straight into it then. The Tories and Reform say that Labour are running scared after ministers have invited 63 councils to postpone next May's local election. This will potentially deny 10 million voters a say. Now, with around half of those council Labour-run, with half of the council's Labour... Sorry, you've got a cursor right over that word, Finn. The move could limit the party's losses and bolster Sir Keir Starmer's faltering Labourship. Let's have a listen to one Labour minister sticking her foot in it a couple of weeks ago.
Local elections, council elections will go ahead in 2026. That has been our position. That continues to be our position. Now, as a responsible government, you would expect that if there are extenuating circumstances on the ground in particular councils, we will have that conversation with them. But we are as up for elections as anyone else.
Except they're not. John Rentoul, chief political commentator at The Independent. What's gone wrong here, John? Whether you're left, right or somewhere in the middle, surely we can all smell a rat here.
Well, exactly. It doesn't look good, does it? If Labour were as confident of their position as that minister implied, they would be going ahead with these, and it just looks as if, whatever the real reasons might be, I mean, and they're rather, I mean, if there are real reasons for it, they're rather sort of bureaucratic and pettifogging about.
Yeah.
To do with the reorganisation and the abolition of a layer of district councils. But I mean, why that means you can't have elections, it doesn't seem obvious to me or to anybody else. And Reform are going to just scream blue murder about this.
Of course. And when the first lot happened, which they announced last year, but they were for elections this year, there was a crock of Norfolk, Suffolk, Essex, Hampshire, West Sussex were all affected. We were given sort of good, solid logistical reasons apparently why they couldn't happen, and I think many people thought, OK, well, maybe there is a reason behind that specific cancellation. Seems a bit odd, but nonetheless, we'll roll with it. But this seems incredibly loose, inviting 63 councils, which is almost pleading 63 councils to not have elections.
Well, no, I think it's actually, I think this is Labour trying to be too clever, actually, because they're mostly Conservative county councils that are concerned here. And I think they're hoping that the Conservatives, who are also in the doldrums and running scared of Reform, they're hoping that the Conservatives will ask to have their elections postponed, and then they could then Labour can say, oh, well, it's nothing to do with us. It's the Conservative county council. So blame them. But it just doesn't. It looks terrible either way. And as far as Reform are concerned, for them, Labour and the Conservatives are the uni party. They're the two old parties conspiring together to abolish elections, and it plays extremely well for them.
Of course. I would imagine the Conservatives, Kemi Badenoch couldn't be seen to back this, though, could she?
No, James Cleverly has been out and about for the Tories, saying he doesn't agree with it. It's abolishing democracy and all the rest of it. But that doesn't mean he's necessarily going to be able to persuade Conservative councils not to ask for the postponement of elections. So it could get all a bit messy, but the only winner is going to be Nigel Farage, I'm afraid, and that's what I can't understand about Labour just playing into Reform's hands. It's exactly the same with this deciding to go to war with Westminster journalists as well by abolishing one of our daily briefings. I'm going to abolish the afternoon daily briefing.
Yes, journalists don't need that anymore.
Yeah, but it just looks as if they're running scared.
Of course it does.
From accountability.
Yeah, the optics are
Nigel
terrible.
Farage is going to have a field day.
Yeah, completely. And of course, the projections and predictions are that Reform will do rather well at these local elections. And I know polling can be a strange old thing, but they're pretty consistent in favour of Reform right now.
Well, and Reform did extremely well in this year's local elections in May. I mean, they're sweeping the board in all sorts of unlikely places, in effect replacing the Conservative Party as the main anti-government party. Sure. And that's likely to continue in May 2026. And that's, if it looks as if the government and indeed the Conservative Party is scared of that, then that's only going to increase the Reform vote.
Spot on. John, thank you as ever for your time. A man who knows his way around Westminster and all the mechanics behind it as well. John Rentoul, chief political commentator at The Independent. Let's speak with Sebastian Salek, Labour councillor at Waltham Forest, and commentator on many issues that we regularly speak to on this. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Sebastian, but I reckon you're going to tell me it's a fantastic idea that Labour are cancelling democracy.
I think it's a fantastic idea that they're bringing in metro mayors. This is an unfortunate consequence of that. I don't think anybody really wants to cancel elections. If you're involved in politics, hopefully you're a big believer in democracy, and that means having regular elections. It just so happens that if these do go ahead, the councillors that are elected, some of them will only be in place for a year or so, and then their local council area is shaken up, the structure's completely changed, and they're out of a job, which is a lot of wasted effort, it's a lot of wasted time, and it's a lot of wasted taxpayers' money. And if there's one thing I know that your viewers and listeners hate, it's wasting taxpayers' money. So here's one way of avoiding that.
Well, you could go the other way and say, well, we'll put off the kind of new metro situation for another year or so. I mean, it's democracy, isn't it? You have an election at a certain time. Politicians are elected in, whether they're district or county councillors or MPs, etc. They're elected in for a set period. That is the democratic system. That is our way. Now, people could change it over time, but right now we don't have people in power for 7 years. That's what this would mean, that they would retain those positions. That's usurping democracy. So that's pivotal to this, isn't it? That's the centre point that the discussion has to be based on, not all the bureaucracy that goes around it.
Yeah, I see the debate, and look, it's not ideal. I don't think this is what anybody.
Well, I mean, that puts it mildly, Sebastian. It's not ideal. I mean, this is cancelling a democratic or inviting 63 councils to cancel an election.
And that's the crucial point. It's their choice as well, and these are councils of all political colours, because they have a lot of work to do on their reorganisation. And what you're doing then is asking them to take their eye off that, focus on winning re-election, and you slow down the pace of change. And I think so many of the discussions that you and I have, I'm always saying, God, this is going to take time, and this is one thing that can happen more quickly. And if that means cancelling elections, I think it's a price worth paying, because it means we get those metro mayors in place, we get simplified local government, which is better for residents. It's more accountability, it's more power for them. So the outcome is really good. We just have this unfortunate hurdle of we have to delay some local elections by a year or two.
But 26 of those councils, so just shy of half, are Labour run. I mean, the smart money, Sebastian, says that all of those 26 will go, yeah, good idea, we'll cancel. Because your party's going to get annihilated. You do know that.
Well, this is really interesting. The numbers I have are 18 are where Labour has a majority out of 63 councils that are being asked.
OK, I've got 26 here, so
should we go 136. So you're looking really at 18 councils out of 136. If you were some conniving evil genius in Labour Party HQ trying to work out how to disrupt democracy...
There's a few of them.
Stalling 18 councils, even if assuming they all say yes, is probably not the way I would do it. So I think the idea that this is some kind of...
Well, it could be millions of... There's millions of votes. In 18 councils, there's millions of votes.
Sorry?
In 18 councils, there are millions of votes.
Oh, yeah, no, that's true, but it's still only...
So it's not insignificant,
You're trying to change the course of what you think the local elections in the whole of England are going to turn out to be.
But if it was only
18 Labour councils, do you want to delay? Probably isn't going to have.
But if it was only one, the same point on democracy, I would argue, Sebastian, stands, and that is that you can't monkey with it. And if you want to bring in a new system at some point, like all things that they change, you need many years of notice so that you don't upset the democratic process. But with this, the other parallel story still stands as well, doesn't it? And that is that you would reduce the absolute kicking that your party leader is going to get in May would be, I mean, it might not be significant enough for everybody to notice, but he can say, well, it wasn't 10 million, it was only 8 million that didn't vote for me this time.
Again, look, I think, and we're making a big assumption here because we're talking about an event that is 5 months away. assume Labour gets annihilated. Let's just run with that theory. Whether they lose 18 more or fewer councils isn't going to move the dial. So I think if you're trying to avoid that, and this is some kind of electoral play, then it's really not the avenue to be going down. I don't think it is some kind of conspiracy. I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist myself. I really just think it's the unfortunate consequence of trying to bring in better accountability for local leaders, which is something that we've needed for a long time in this country. Many other countries have powerful local mayors. We don't have that, and I think it'd be a brilliant thing for anybody who lives in an area that's going to get one of these.
On that point, Sebastian, thank you. Have a great weekend and happy Christmas. Sebastian Salek, Labour councillor for Waltham Forest and commentator on these issues. I think it would make a difference. The figure I had was 26 of those councils are Labour. Sebastian said he thought it was 18. That would be believe me, if you're about to get an utter trouncing and a public lashing at the elections, then I promise you, every one extra you can get is a bonus. You want that. You're not going to let anything slide in that respect. So I would politely suggest that those Labour councils that are being invited to postpone democracy will grab it with both hands.